Hi there! Today we are going to talk about fat consumption effects on training and performance, done by Tommy, Mitch, and Megan.
Fat is one of the three macronutrients we consume in our diets. The other two include carbohydrates and proteins. The primary function of fats is energy storage. Fats help absorb fat-soluble vitamins, including vitamin A, D, E, and K. Fats help improve hair and skin health and helps insulate the body and protect our organs. 1 gram of fat is approximately 9 calories. There are three main types of fats. We will separate that into two main groups. There are a group of bad fats and good fats. The bad fats include saturated fats and trans fats. Saturated fats are from animal sources such as red meats, poultry, and full or reduced fat dairy products. A good rule of thumb are saturated fats are in the solid form at room temperature. Saturated fats can be linked to high cholesterol and cardiovascular disease. The recommended amount of saturated fats are about 5% of calories a day. Trans fats are typically produced from the food industry and they are used to increase shelf life. Trans fats are linked to cardiovascular diseases and they are not recommended in our daily diets. Good fats include saturated fats. Saturated fats are found in plants such as avocados or nuts, or they are found in the liquid form at room temperature, such as olive oils and coconut oils. Unsaturated fats are used to improve cholesterol, help control blood sugars, and improve cardiovascular health, and are found in vitamin E. Fats are stored in the body when there is an excess of calories consumed. Carbohydrates are primarily used by the human body for energy. Once the carbohydrates are depleted, fats are now burned for energy. Once fats and carbohydrates are depleted, then proteins begin to be burned for energy.
When examining fat consumption and its role in exercise, we took a look at fat and its effect on training and performance by Fleming and colleagues. In this study, they took a habitual diet that comprised mostly of carbs as the control group and compared it to a high-fat, moderate protein diet that was mostly comprised by fats. These fats were saturated and unsaturated, and each group was given 6 weeks to consume their respective diets and exercise. To examine the results of these specific diets and exercises, a VO2 max, a 2 times 30-second Wingate anaerobic test, and a 45-minute timed bike ride was given to both groups before and after the 6 weeks. Now, taking a look at the results from the study, we found a decrease in the VO2 max in the high-fat, moderate protein diet group, which, as you can see by the highlighted section of data, a decrease from 3.5 liters per minute to about 3.27 liters per minute, and this was found to be a significant difference in VO2 max. Rate of perceived exertion was also measured during this study, and when you look at the data of the high-fat, moderate protein diet group, specifically at 9 minutes and 11 minutes of the VO2 max test, you find a significant increase in the RPE, or rate of perceived exertion, as noted by the asterisks. When you also compare the high-fat, moderate protein diet group to the control group, you don't necessarily see a significant difference, but you do notice that at the post measurement of RPE that the high-fat, moderate protein group is higher in RPE than the control group. In the Wingate power output test, we see a decrease in peak and mean power output in both the high-fat diet group as well as the control diet group at 6 weeks post-exercise and diet. However, in the high-fat group, there is a significant decrease in the peak power output as well as the mean power output in the bout 1 of the Wingate power output test. The last experiment from the study looked at the work output for both groups during a 45-minute time bike ride at baseline as well as post 6 weeks of diet and exercise, and it also measured their RER baseline and post 6 weeks of diet and exercise. We actually see a lower RER 6 weeks post diet and exercise for the high fat group than for the control group, and this most likely can be a result of simply their high fat diets. Since they have a lower RER, they are burning more fats than carbohydrates, which would be expected in a group that consumes more fat than carbohydrates. In the work output, though, we see a significant decrease in the high fat group 6 weeks post diet and exercise in comparison to the control group, pretty much stating that the high fat group had a lower work output in comparison to their baseline values as well as to the control group as a whole.
So in the study, long-term fat diet adaptation effects on performance, training capacity, and fat utilization by Helge, one of the main points was that endurance performance can only be maintained at best after long-term adaptation to fat-rich diets compared to carbohydrate-rich diets. So their overall finding concluded with that long-term fat diet usage cannot be recommended as really a tool to improve endurance performance. So in this study, Helge also found that high-intensity interval training is possible over prolonged periods of fat diet consumption in untrained to moderately trained individuals. And the high-intensity interval training can also be tolerated and performed by elite athletes during short-term fat-rich diet adaptations. Also, in untrained, moderately trained, and elite athletes, a higher mental effort was required by them to perform the exercise training while on the fat-rich diets. Helge suggests that this result could have possibly been due to fat diet-induced higher sympathetic nervous system activation, which also leads to higher heart rates in these individuals. The RPE, or rate of perceived exertion, at the initial test, as seen in the figure on the right, between high-fat and high-carb diet individuals, resulted in no real significance at all. However, there were adverse effects present in the high-fat diet groups that were not present in the high-carb diet groups, which included symptoms such as dizziness and vomiting. The RPE after the 7th week in the training program resulted in a significant difference in the exhaustion levels between the high-fat diet and high-carb diet individuals, as seen in the figure to the right. Helge suggests that this result could have been due to higher mental strain along with higher heart rate due to the exercises being more strenuous compared to the initial week's exercises.
So in summary, the main points we want you guys to remember are the unsaturated fats are the good fats, saturated fat and trans fat are the bad fats. Overall, fats decrease performance, VO2 max, and work output, and high fats are not as effective as high carbohydrate diets if you are trying to improve your performance.